Love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay. Want everything more ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. Were the first words that I ever read written by American hero, Kentucky Superman, Wendell Berry. That's an NPR crowd. And I was in my early 20s. I was newly married, and a good friend put a book of his poems into my hand, his book Citizenship Papers, and I started reading, and I was like, this is the guy that I wish was just a person in my orbit growing up. You know, somebody I felt like for the first time I was hearing a coherent vision of the world as it could be, with justice for the earth, for your neighbor, a cessation of war, a sustainable future. It was eye-opening for me in my early 20s. I was head over heels in love with Wendell Berry. And my good buddy Shepard at the same point, was at the same point. He was reading Wendell Berry. We were geeking out about Wendell Berry all the time. We were sending each other Wendell Berry quotes. And one Friday, I get an email from Shepard back in around 2011. And he says, "You are not going to believe this." And I'm ready to believe it. And he says, "We're going to meet Wendell Berry tomorrow." And I said, "That's impossible." And he said, "Wendell Berry receives visitors at his home occasionally on Saturdays." Now, the idea that if it's too good to be true doesn't really apply to me. I'm like, if it's too good to be true, we should probably do it immediately before somebody else gets in on it. And so I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I didn't even ask him how he knew this. I was just like, where does he live? And he's like, I don't know. He lives somewhere around Port Royal, Kentucky. That's all I know. And I was like, so we're gonna go find his house? He's like, absolutely. Does Aberlin wanna come? I was like, I'll ask her. That's my wife. I was like, babe, we're gonna meet Wendell Berry. She's like, how? I was like, Shepard has a way. And we were newly married, and she was very much like, okay, great. She is not that kind of person. That's me. And so it happened on Saturday. Not only was Aberlin coming, but 3 other of our friends were coming, and everyone else besides me and Shepard is like, really? Because that seems crazy. And they're like, no. And because I don't know, somehow in my mind I was like, yes, this is love your neighbor Wendell Berry. This is practice resurrection Wendell Berry. There are no unsacred places, only sacred places and desecrated places. Wendell Erdman Berry. Yes, come young people, I will have 10 minutes for you. And I'm so jazzed out of my mind. We all pile into a car for 4 people, there are 6 of us, and we head out I-71, and we I think we had printed off directions. We had no idea where we were going, but we're on an adventure to meet a legend. And we are driving along the Kentucky River, and it is everything I've ever read from him. I'm like, this is making sense. It's just beautiful. It's rural. This is in the autumn. There are empty tobacco barns along the river. And I am just I am transported, and we are lost. We have no idea where we are, and we don't have cell phone signal, and which is probably why he lives there. And we are driving up and down these roads, and we don't know where his house is, and we see these 3 good old boys in their 4-wheelers out in their front yards, and we are the epitome of privileged white kids from the city. And we get out of the car, we're like, hey, do you know where Wendell Berry lives? And these guys are like, you're looking for Wendell? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, yeah, he lives over yonder. And we're like, that is not a location. We're like, have you met him? They're like, of course, he's our neighbor. I'm like, oh my God, of course, he's your neighbor. They're like, comes down to see the deer they get during, hunting season, like checks in on them to make sure they're all well. Like, amazing. We get back in the car, drive again, still lost, not finding his house. And the further we go, the more uncomfortable everyone besides Shepard and I is getting. They're like, this just seems like this isn't gonna work. And so we're driving along the river and look up, and there's this white farmhouse up on this hill. And there are solar panels in the front yard, and there is sheep fencing running up the driveway that weaves up the front of the hill. And I was like, this is it. Oh my God, this is it. And we pull into the driveway, and now I'm scared. Now I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. This can't be happening. And we get out of the car, and right as we get out of the car, Wendell Berry comes out of his front door with another visitor. Appears to be a friend. They're walking down the front steps, and they come down, and he shakes hands, and he walks over to us, and he says, I'll be with you all in just a moment. Goes back to fit, and I'm like, no way! No! This is happening! And he talks to his friend, they shake hands, and he leaves. And Wendell Berry comes over to us. He is so tall, I had no idea how tall he is. He walks up to us and he's like, now what can I do for you people? And we're like, sir, we just love your work, and we just heard that you receive visitors on Saturdays sometimes. We just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate you. And he was like, I don't receive visitors on Saturdays. And we're like, I look at Aberlin, and Aberlin is like every single person who's at me and Shepard is like, we told you. But I am too in the moment to back out now. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, that's right. Saturday is a work day. And I was like, Saturday is a work day. Of course it is. And he's like, yes, I have to go to work now, but I appreciate your appreciation. You all have a fine day. And he gets in his open back pickup truck, and his colleague comes running down the hill and jumps in the back, and he drives away and leaves us standing there. And I was like, that was the most amazing thing that has ever happened. And I just feel really lucky that I met my hero, and not only was he kind to a young idiot, he gave me something that I've never forgotten. He said, Saturday is a work day. Thank you.